Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This video is on your SmackDown Live results and your main event spoilers. Happy birthdays goes to, for November 22nd, Lash LaRue, Chiquita from the Nitro Girls, Skinner, Elias Sampson. And for a future date, November 24th, Beth Phoenix. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson will be Chris Jericho's guests on Talk of Jericho this Friday. Shelton Benjamin still plans on returning to WWE once he's healed up from his surgery. Previously noted, Benjamin was set to return to WWE after the draft this summer, but it was revealed that he needed some medical attention for a torn rotator cuff. And he commented on Twitter at SheltyB803, "Just for the record, I will make moves to return to at WWE when I'm back to 110% physically. Anywhere from 4 to 6 months by my doc calculation." Daughter of Randy and Kim Orton was born today, this afternoon. According to WWE, reporting that Brooklyn Rose weighed in at 8 pounds. That's the child's name that Randy and his wife Kim chose to name her. Congratulations to Randy and his wife and a birth on their daughter. No idea what this means as far as Randy Orton's status for SmackDown. We'll stay tuned. The results. They did mention about some type of tag team match for next week. Live TV television is concurred, but obviously you can't blame the guy if he's not working. .NET Raider Dave Hudson was at the SmackDown tapings in Ottawa, Ontario, has passed along the following updates for a future NXT taping event. I should say NXT episode. Asuka won what appeared to be a dark match to an unknown female wrestler. Eric Young defeated No Way Jose. This appeared to be the first of the actual TV tapings. NXT champion Samoa Joe defeated Ty Dillinger by submission. Dillinger was very over, and that wrapped up the pre-SmackDown taping. And they taped the following matches from Ottawa, or one match from after the SmackDown went off the air to air on this week's main event episode. Only one match, Alexa Bliss defeating Naomi with the Sparkle Splash. And just one taped match again this week. Well, they got a team of Scott Stanford, Lita, Booker T, and Jared King Lawler hosting the show from headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut. Stanford hyped a 6-way tag match to determine the number one contender. Daniel Bryan will appear on the pre-show. The host played up the question of who attacked Nikki Bella at Survivor Series. Booker T recalled Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan. A Carmella photo was shown, and there was some discussion of Charlotte and Natalya. Their Continental title match at Survivor Series was discussed. Stanford brought up the idea of Sami Zayn getting a rematch. Booker and Lawler said that he didn't deserve it. Lawler said Bryan should be thankful for The Miz on Thursday. Stanford pointed out that Dolph Ziggler has a rematch clause. So Daniel Bryan was interviewed from SmackDown. He said he didn't feel the need to congratulate The Miz on his Intercontinental title win. Lawler said if Miz walked on water, Bryan would say he can't swim. Bryan said he wishes he could trade Miz to Raw for Sami Zayn, Cesaro, or even Neville, who again has not wrestled in the last couple weeks. Booker and Bryan talked about how he could let Shane McMahon enter the Survivor Series elimination match. Bryan said that Shane was up for it, and he worked the Hell in a Cell match. Bryan said that he regretted it afterwards. He said Shane's wife and sons were backstage afterwards, and it affected him. I agree with you. I think it was a mistake putting him in the match, Bryan said. Booker said he disappointed in Bryan for not stepping up. Bryan said Booker is disappointed in people a lot of the time, so he's not offended at all. And Booker smiled. Lita brought up the cruiserweight division staying on Raw. and this is by the pre-show results. Bryan said he thinks it would have been good for the division. He complained about the number one contender match airing on the third hour of Raw. Bryan said that there would be repercussions for what happened on SmackDown. Lawler asked whether it's tougher to be a general manager or deal with the pregnant Brie Bella. Bryan laughed and talked about how she's been wonderful thus far. Backstage at SmackDown, Dasha Fentes spoke about how the SmackDown crew is excited about the TLC pay-per-view. She hyped the AJ Styles vs. Dean Ambrose main event and said that Heath Slater and Rhino would face the winners of the tag team turmoil match on SmackDown. Fuentes also stated that there are rumors of Bryan punishing Baron Corbin. King Booker's moment with Tyler Breeze and Fandango was shown for last week's SmackDown, and the Gobbledygooker appeared. Stamper questioned whether it's because Booker's appearance last week was a turkey, and then the hosts wrapped up the pre-show. SmackDown Live from Ottawa, Ontario, and at the Canadian Tire Center. Video was shown of the men's Survivor Series match, and Bray Wyatt picking up the win for Team SmackDown. Mauro Ranallo welcomed us to the show, and Shane McMahon made his way out to the ring. He surveyed the crowd and said that they had to excuse him for not being his energetic self. He feels like he's been in a car accident. The crowd told him, "You still got it," and he gave a shout out to Team Raw for competing hard and said he was happy that Team SmackDown got the win. He mentioned the names of Team Raw and said Roman Reigns almost separated him from his Jordans. He moved on to Team SmackDown and gave thanks to Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, and admonished Ambrose and Styles for being unable to put aside their differences. Before he could move on, Dean Ambrose interrupted him. Ambrose asked Shane why he was so low energy and told him that there was a fresh snow on the ground in the Great White North. And it was a brand new day. Shane brought up that he didn't know they would win when he came down to help his Shield buddies, and Ambrose said he was too focused on the negative. He then brought out the man who single-handedly eliminated Braun Strowman, James Ellsworth. Ambrose said that Shane had a surprise for Ellsworth, and Shane said he wanted to tell him privately in the back. Ambrose spoiled it and told him he was getting a SmackDown Live contract. And then Shane catapulted and capulated and made him the formal offer. He said Ellsworth is undoubtedly happy about retrieving a new contract. He told Ambrose that because he had been so out of control lately, he was giving him a new contract. He then went a step further and asked him to leave the building. Crowd booed as Dean walked to the back. AJ Styles made his entrance and said that he wondered when SmackDown Live became the land of undeserved opportunity. He said Dean Ambrose didn't even deserve to be on SmackDown anymore, let alone a title shot. He then said Ellsworth didn't deserve anything. He had been given an opportunity and he hadn't earned anything. Guys like AJ have scratched, clawed, bled, and cried for their shot, and Ellsworth had done nothing. Styles proposed that he have a match with Ellsworth later in the evening because he needed a tune-up. He proposed a ladder match with Ellsworth's contract on the line. Styles said he would tear it up right in his face. Ellsworth responded that he didn't mind having the ladder match, but he not only wanted a contract if he won, he wanted a world championship opportunity too. Shane then made the match. AJ gloated and left, and suddenly Ambrose was back in the ring with his arm around Ellsworth. Backstage segment, Dan Bryan confronted The Miz and Maurice, who were in the middle of a photo shoot. Bryan said he better call this short because it's going to be busy tonight. Miz said he was ready for his big celebration, and because today was Mizgiving, Bryan said that there would not be a celebration because he had embarrassed SmackDown with the way he won on Sunday with a handful of tights. He said Baron Corbin had ruined Kalissa's Cruiserweight Championship opportunity as well. So Bryan was giving him a chance to capture the Intercontinental Championship. He said Miz better not waste any time because the match was next. Number one contenders match for the Tag Team Championships was also made for later. And then he had a commercial break. Can't believe they're still making Ellsworth a fixture on the show. He's probably going to win later and get a title shot next week. As if I already gave you the news last week that he did indeed was given an actual contract, which would complete this odd build where Ambrose and Styles have been fighting a proxy feud through Ellsworth. Where do you go with him after this is over? It's hard to imagine him doing anything but being a comedy act on the low end of the card, unless you put him in a cruiserweight division. After all, he's only I'd say $120, $140. Backstage, Shane walked Ambrose out of the building. Ambrose said he was going to get something to eat and that he would bring something back. Kalista was already in the ring, and The Miz made his ring entrance for match number 1. The Miz versus Kalista for the Intercontinental title. Kalista controlled the early pace of the match and sent Miz flying out to the forecourt for the first match commercial. Miz took a run at Miz. Kalista took a run at Miz in the corner, but ate a kick. Kalista then hit a springboard seated senton, followed by a springboard twisted back elbow for a 2 count. Kalista reversed a powerbomb attempt into a Hurricane Rana, and then attempted to climb to the top rope. He spotted someone as the camera panned around, so you knew somebody was coming around, but the camera missed it. Kalista jumped off the ropes and landed on his feet. Baron Corbin was on the apron. When the camera turned around to him, Miz used the opportunity to hit the skull crushing finale from the distraction for the win. So Miz retained the Intercontinental title. Corbin attacked Kalista after the bell hit the end of days. Ziggler stuck up behind Miz when he got up on the stage and nailed a super kick on the ramp. Maurice tended to him as Ziggler did his little stick. It was backstage. Bryan and Shane said things were out of control and they needed to put a stop to it. Bryan walked off, but was interrupted by Alexa Bliss. He said he didn't have time, but Shane did. Alexa demanded her title shot, and Becky walked up and said she would get it at TLC. Natalya interrupted and said she thought long and hard with her cat 2 paws and blamed Becky for their loss at Survivor Series. Natalie and Becky was afraid of Alexa, and it caused a distraction that forced them to lose. Shane said if she was so sure, she should have a match later with Becky Lynch. Natty then quoted Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On from the Titanic movie, and Alexa rolled her eyes and walked off. Dean Ambrose walked up with pizza, offered some to Shane and Becky. They refused, and Shane told Dean to leave. Becky made a pun about taking a pizza Natty's arm and walked away. Dean shouted from off screen that he heard it and loved it. Shane was left baffled, and it now seemed through to a video hyping WrestleMania ticket sales, as they did go on sale this past Thursday and Friday. Tag Team Turmoil for number 1 contendership was next after commercial break. Well, the show was off the rails tonight. They have a pay-per-view in 2 weeks, and the show feels like a bit of farce. Hopefully they can get things together for the final hour. They need to move on from all these feuds in 2 weeks. Ascension was already in the ring for the next match against the Hype Brothers, making their entrance to start Tag Team Turmoil. The rules of this match: one tag team gets pinned or submitted, they leave, a new one comes in. Until all the teams came out. Tag Team Turmoil. Ascension then took out Mojo Rawley on the floor and worked the double team on Ryder in the ring. Ryder turned the tables with a double neck breaker, reversing a double suplex attempt. Mojo recovered and quickly ran in and delivered a running right hand to Connor, and then hit the Hype Driver on Victor and got the pinfall. Hype Brother defeated the Ascension. Breezango ran down in the ring and got cleared out to the floor immediately by Mojo and Ryder. And then another commercial break. Ryder hit the missile drop kick on Breeze, but was unable to hit the broski boot. Breeze hit a slingshot into an elbow from Fandango, who then hit a springboard elbow drop for the pin. Breezango defeated the Hype Brothers. American Alpha then came out. And they ran down, and Fandango took it straight to Chad Gable. They hit a double team kick, went for the same slingshot, but Gable outsmarted him and hooked the leg on Fandango and got the pinfall. So American Alpha defeated Breezango. Bob Villains ran down, and Gable cleared English from the ring with a clothesline. Jordan grabbed Gotch, and they hit a drop kick German suplex combo and picked up another quick pin. American Alpha advances. Usos took some time to get to the ring, and the match began on their timetable. Gable and Jimmy started the match as they cut to a commercial. Jimmy hits an elbow to the chest of Jason Jordan, who then draped over the apron on the outside. Then applied the rear chin lock, while Rhino and Slater looked at a television in the back. Jay tagged in and hit a boot to the face and went back to the chin lock. They cut off the ring and worked some double team offense. Jimmy hit a running forearm in the corner and then hit some driving elbows while he was on the ground. More frequent tags from the Usos. Jay Uso made a cover and a near fall after a kick to the gut. Jordan made a cover after avoiding both Uso flying forearms, and Gable ran in and cleaned house. He hit twisting clotheslines from the top on Jay, then sent him to the outside. And a German suplex on Jimmy that got a near fall. Jimmy rolled out to the floor, and Gable followed. Jimmy was able to shove Gable into the post. Then he hit a double team demolition style pendulum backbreaker, splashing the ring. They got a near fall. American Alpha fired back with Jason Jordan recovering and sending Jay out to the floor. Then they hit an avalanche bulldog on Jimmy to get a near fall of their own. Jay recovered and hit a super kick on Jordan. He then went for a splash, and Jordan got the knees up, turned it into a cover for a near fall. Things broke down, and the match ended up with rapid fire shots. Alpha got the best of it, hitting grand amplitude and getting the cover on Jay for the win. Well, American Alpha advanced to finals, defeating the Usos. The Wyatt sounder hit, and lights go out. Wyatt family was on the Tron. They said that Alpha shouldn't celebrate yet, as they haven't faced all the teams. He said next week, he and Randy were coming for them. Backstage segment, Daniel Bryan pleased with James Ellsworth to think twice about what he's doing tonight. Ellsworth gave a sob speech about any man with 2 feet being able to climb a ladder when Dean Ambrose walked up dressed like the Mountie. Bryan said Shane is going to freak out if he sees him. And then Shane walked up. He just about lost it when Bryan told him he needs to take the rest of the night off because he's too stressed out. Ambrose said if he wanted to know why he's dressed like the Mountie, and Shane said no and left. Bryan turned back to Dean and said he had to go, but said he was curious about why he was dressed that way. Dean took off his glasses and said, he has a message for AJ Styles. He said, the Mountie always gets his man. Both Bryan and Ambrose cracked up, trying to get through the line. Commercial break. Ambrose and Wyatt in the tag team division seems like a path to their eventual implosion. They'll probably capture the championship and eventually lose it to Alpha, which would be a good way to transition the title to them. The tag team turmoil was amusing at first, but then it got very good down the stretch with the Usos and Alpha carrying about the brunt of the load. Well, Natalya was in the ring, ready for the next match. Becky Lynch made her ring entrance, while Alexa Bliss was introduced on commentary. Becky Lynch versus Natalya. Natty and Becky worked some chain wrestling to start. and worked through a couple of stand-up stalemates. Then they traded punches and Becky got the better of it. Initially, she went up top, but Natty stopped her and hit a sit-out powerbomb for a 2 count. Natty celebrated her near fall for some reason by taunting the crowd into a commercial break. Natalya had an abdominal stretch, applied, and then covered for a near fall. She hit a Michinoku driver for a near fall, then pulled out one of Becky's hair extensions, but then got rolled up for a 2 count. Becky fired up and got the crowd into the match with a series of forearms. She tried several times for the disarmer, but Natalya reversed. Becky hit an exploder, suplex, and then took a run at Natty in the corner. She got tripped into the second turnbuckle. Natty then attempted a sharpshooter, but Becky reversed it into the disarmer, and show you a picture of that, for the tap-out victory. So Becky Lynch retains her title. After the match, Becky celebrated for a few seconds before being assaulted by Alexa Bliss, who hit a DDT and then jawed at Becky as she walked up the ramp. The Now team then threw to the Hype Brothers, who sold you holiday merchandise from the WWE shop. The main event was Hype, as well as Kane and Baron Corbin for next commercial break. I like the match. Natty and Becky have good chemistry in the ring, and Natty sells better than Alexa has for Becky's comeback. The post-match attack was expected, and Alexa's work at the announced team was better than average for what we've seen from the women's division. I don't think they move the title at TLC, but I'm looking forward to the match. Daniel Bryan was on the apron, on the phone, and Miz interrupted him. He demanded Dolph Ziggler be suspended for super kicking him for no reason. Bryan shrugged off the comment about Ziggler not having a reason and said that he was owed a rematch. He made a match for TLC and said it would be their last match, no matter the outcome. He said they would go out with a bang, and it would be a ladder match. Miz said he would put an end to Ziggler with a skull-crushing finale. Back in the locker room, Carmella was having her own phone conversation when Nikki Bella walked up. She accused her of attacking her before the Survivor Series match, and Carmella denied it. Carmella said it was likely Charlotte or Dana Brooke or any of the people of the E network. She said her boyfriend might be about hustle, loyalty, and respect, but she was no Mother Teresa. Nikki said that she had spoken to her brother-in-law and they were going to sort out their problem once and for all. She said Bryan had made a no disqualification match between them at TLC. Back in the arena, Kane made his entrance, followed by Baron Corbin for their apparent match, as we have a commercial break. TLC is getting booked in a hurry tonight, out of necessity, but it's coming together nicely. In 2017, we should really consider making single brand SmackDown shows 2 hours, because it will give them some flexibility about which feuds actually require pay-per-view matches. Kane versus Baron Corbin. Kane grabbed a choke immediately. Corbin followed out and hit the ropes, but ran into a big boot. Corbin hit a strike that rattled Kane. He then went after him in the corner. Kane followed out on the corner, and Corbin ran to the outside. Used his speed. Kane followed, and Corbin got back to the ring and assaulted him when he jumped on the apron. Kalisto appeared out of nowhere and assaulted Corbin in the ring. Bell rang for disqualification. But Corbin won by disqualification. After the match, Kalisto rolled to the outside and Kane entered to hit a chokeslam on Corbin. Kalisto ran to the outside and grabbed a chair, but Corbin rolled to the outside. Kalisto dared him to get back in the ring, and he did. Kalisto surprised him with a Van Daminator, and Corbin was forced to retreat. Main event of SmackDown was next after commercial break. Well, Kalisto looked pretty good here, and Corbin did a nice job of looking tough while still selling the Van Daminator. The match didn't last long enough to leave a real impression, though. We get ring entrances for the main event. Ellsworth was still in a neck brace. Match number 5 of SmackDown. AJ Styles versus James Ellsworth. Styles was gloating at the start. Ellsworth missed a punch and grabbed his neck. Styles pried off the neck brace and sent Ellsworth to the floor. He then grabbed the ladder and put it in the ring. Ellsworth grabbed at the ladder, but Styles pulled it away from him and pulled Ellsworth into the ring apron. Styles climbed up the ladder, but Ellsworth grabbed his leg when he got back in the ring. Styles climbed down, gave Ellsworth a backbreaker. He then tied him up in the ladder and kicked him in the chest. Then Styles placed the ladder on Ellsworth's chest and started to climb the ladder on top of him when Ambrose ran in wearing Ottawa Senator's gear. Very similar to the Goon when he came in the ring wearing a jersey. He threw Styles into the ladder and sent him to the outside. He tried to wake up Ellsworth to no avail, pulling him away from the ladder and into the ring corner, near the turnbuckle. Styles hit a phenomenal forearm on Ambrose, and when he did that, knocked Ambrose down. Styles tried to climb the ladder again, as Ambrose rolled out to the floor by himself. Ellsworth pushed over the ladder, and Styles spilled out to the floor. Ellsworth looked to climb the ladder, and Styles climbed back in the ring. Ellsworth hit no chin music, and Styles' foot got caught in between the bottom rope and the middle rope. Ellsworth climbed the ladder and grabbed the contract to get the win. So Ellsworth defeated AJ Styles, for number 4 time on TV. Styles ended the show in disbelief. Dean Ambrose carried around Ellsworth as he cried. Ambrose placed him on the announce table as they stood on top of it and celebrated. Well, that was so predictable. Wish they would put the same effort into getting James Ellsworth over on Sami Zayn, Cesaro, or on the Cruiserweight division. They got a lot of booking done for TLC on the show, but a lot of this felt so much comedy that it wasn't what sells me on wrestling pay-per-views. There's too many jokes and puns and attempts to make the roster feel like a family that puts on a television show rather than the athletes feuding over important championships. And they still need about 3 or 4 more matches to finish it up, which will probably be done next week. Well, because you got the tag team match. Well, after the SmackDown tapings and the main event tapings done, you had a quick dark match main event that saw Dean Ambrose and Kane take on Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper. The finish saw Ambrose hit Dirty Deeds and Kane hit a chokeslam for the win. To send everyone home happy. And that concludes my results of SmackDown Live and main event spoilers. Thanks again. Peace out. See you when I want to be. If you don't know, just call me, brothers and sisters.